Hi everyone, Tracy here again from Temperance Tarot, and I have a couple of new decks and a couple of decks that I just bought like an hour ago that I wanted to unbox and show you as part of Kelly at the Truth and Stories March of the Pips challenge that I'm going to be participating in for March. I thought I'd like to show the decks that I may use as part of that challenge. This is really pulling me out of my comfort zone because I don't generally work with pip decks, but I would like to get a little bit more comfortable with them. So this morning I went to Books A Million, my local Books A Million, and I found a couple of things that are pip decks that I wanted to unbox and show you. And the first one is the Tarot Pack. Now I have seen this before. I believe it's called the Mystic Meg Pack or the Mystic Meg Tarot or something is what it was called before. I apologize for the glare. There's just nothing to be done about it. I imagine this box is going to get thrown away anyway, but I saw somebody else, I believe, unboxing this and thought that's interesting, and then never thought about it again, and so I went to Books A Million today, and they had 2 copies of it in my Books A Million, so that was kind of odd. And it was only $15 odd. That was kind of unusual, so it was only $15. So I picked it up. Let's have a look at the little book that comes with it. Card illustrations by Caroline Smith. Text copyright Mystic Meg, 1997. So it's the same deck, and it looks like it might even be the same book content. Let's see what we have here. Just a little bit about using the cards, and then we go straight into the majors. Have full pages for the majors. The minors, we have full pages for the minors too, which is really nice, especially with a pip deck. Talks about love readings, life readings, luck readings, and cosmic counsel. This is kind of nice, especially since it was, I imagine if you go to Amazon, you can probably get it even cheaper. Because, yeah, at Books A Million, I pretty much pay retail. And that's going in the trash. Let's see. It has little slide-off pieces of plastic. Cardstock is, well, for a $15 deck, it's about what you'd expect. It has the elemental signs and the astrological symbols. That's kind of nice, but not terribly cluttered with esoteric symbols, just a few. Justice's 8. Interesting Hermit. The Hanged Man is self-sacrifice. Death is changing. The Devil is temptation. It's interesting when they change all of those cards, but then they don't change Judgment. Because Judgment is the card I have the hardest time with. And then as a pip deck, it's pretty straightforward pipping. No scenes at all, just pips. And then we have Princess, Prince, Queen, and King. They do seem to share a color palette. So you've got green for Earth. Yeah, those are kind of pretty. I like them. And they might be one of the decks that makes it into my March of the Pips rotation. Air is, let's see, we had Earth, Fire. We must have air and water instead of swords, cups, pentacles, and wands. But I do imagine that after a few shufflings, yeah, They bend though, boy they bend, and they stay bent. And that's the back. It's got a purple. It's purple and it's reversible. Something else I found at Books A Million, they had 3 inexpensive Pip decks there, and I picked up 2 of them. And I chose this one over the other one that had probably a better book because I thought I was going to like the artwork better on the cards. This is one of those, if you've been to Books A Million in the US, it's got an attached book. So you can actually see all the cards by flipping through the book. And it had quite a few spreads in this one. So I was really interested in that. The other set came in a shrink-wrapped box and you couldn't see anything but the outside of the box. But these are smaller cards. They're the size of playing cards. Here we have the back. And it's definitely a Marseille style. The cardstock, yeah, is pretty cruddy, but again, it was a $15 retail price deck, and you can probably get it cheaper someplace else. But I do love the lover's card where he's choosing. Actually, that looks kind of interesting. It doesn't look like he's choosing. It looks like he's getting a blessing from his father or something like that. Interesting. Yep, we have Justice at 8. Oh my, she's quite fighting with that lion. Interesting sun card. A couple dancing. And then we have the wands. Very simple. Page of Wands. That's why they call them clubs. Knight, Queen, and the King. So yeah, that's really pretty. Interesting little deck. I have a business trip in the middle of March, or closer to the end of March, where I have to go for a whole week to Orlando. And I'm thinking, which of the Pip decks am I going to take with me? And it might be this one, and maybe one more, because it's small, and because if I lost it or destroyed it, my heart would not be broken. It might be a good option. I could pry the book out of the little binder thing. It shuffles really nicely. Shuffles very nicely. So yeah, very cute little deck. I'm good with that one. And I could just put the little tuck box in my suitcase and be good to go. Some additional decks I am considering using for March of the Pips. These are the 2 Il Manigallo decks that I recently purchased. This one, let's look at this one first. This one is a Marseille deck. It is, oh, and they came with these wonderful little magnets. Both of the ones that I ordered from collecttarot.com. And they came with those lovely little magnets. I got the sun with this deck, and I think the star with the other deck. A lot of their decks are true historical reproductions, and they look just like the deck that somebody would have used 200, 300, 400 years ago. This is a deck where they took the historical images and sort of cleaned them up and put all the colors inside the lines for more modern aesthetics. I liked this one because it was a true Marseille deck. It was cleaned up. I do like the cleanup. And it had the words in French instead of in Italian, which the next deck actually has the words in Italian. Square corners, because that is how these decks would have been made. But it's your standard, it's a standard Marseille deck. it looks like the background, it's got sort of a background that makes it look like it's sitting on marble or something like that. The cardstock is very nice. It's bendy, but it's not flimsy. But you can see there's no decorative aesthetic added to things like the coins. The wands have some decoration added to them, as do the cups. But for some reason the coins don't. Yep, the swords do too. That deck will probably go in my rotation, although I'm probably not going to use it as much as I thought I was. It does shuffle nicely. It's kind of glossy, and the backs are hideous. I'm sorry, but those are just the ugliest, some of the ugliest backs I've ever seen. But they're a nice size, easy to handle. I do have big hands, but let's see. That's the Ten of Wands. Other Il Manigalo deck that I got is probably, I absolutely fell in love with this deck. I had never heard of it before, and just after seeing a few images, I fell in love with this deck. It is called the Naibi. It's by Giovanni Vacchetta. It was published or created in like 1893. So it's really just a few decades before the Rider-Waite. But from what little I've been able to glean about this deck, it was very regional, and it's not likely that Pamela Coleman Smith actually saw this deck. We do know that she saw the Solabusca because it was on display in a museum and she went to see it. But it's unlikely that she saw this deck. But also, from what I understand, the creator actually drew the lines, and then someone else would add the color to them, and so the color could vary from deck to deck depending on who put the color in. But this just struck me as just exquisite. It's just exquisite with detail. The coloration that they've chosen to use is exquisite. It's not glossy, it's matte. The cardstock, I think the cardstock replicates what the cardstock might have felt like if you had purchased a brand new deck in 1895 or something like that. This one will go into my March of the Pips rotation, most definitely. This one might actually even go to Florida with me. And I particularly love this death card because you can see at the bottom, there are no people parts down there. It's all about losing your money or losing your status rather than losing your life. That the Grim Reaper or the tax man, he's going to come for that stuff. The devil's very interesting as well. He's sitting inside the mouth of some sort of creature. Love that sun card. Love that sun card. And the pips are a little more decorative than a Marseille deck. You see, here's the Ace of Cups. We've got a young boy and a monkey, and they both got apples. The Two of Cups. The Three of Cups. He's balancing two of the cups on his head. The Four. So they're much more decorative. See, the images are very evocative, particularly with the court cards. Page, the Knight, the Queen, and that King of Cups, he looks like he might have been out having a good time. Interestingly enough, you see this Nine of Swords? That's 9 swords stuck into a heart. I do love the coins. The coins are definitely my favorite suit in these pip decks. And the courts and the pentacles are really good. Here's the Page of Pentacles, and you can just see he's playing cards. He's risking his money and playing cards. And here we have the Queen of Coins, and she's working. You can see she's got some sort of a in progress textile thing going on here. She works for her money, and this guy works even harder for his money. Look, he's either imprinting coins or counting coins, or back in the day, coins were made out of real metal, and you could actually shave off part of a coin and use it as a part of that amount of money. So maybe he's doing that, I'm not sure. And then we have the wands. Look at this 3 of wands with the fish and the crab. Just fascinating. It's very matte, so I haven't tried to shuffle it yet. Let's give it a try. Kind of bendy. I have a feeling these are going to get dirty pretty quickly, because they're just, the matte nature of the cardstock is just going to pick up dirt. But it's just a beautiful, beautiful deck, and I'm really glad that I got it. Now, Lo Scarabeo publishes this deck as Tarot of the Master. Here's the Tarot of the Master, the same deck published by Lo Scarabeo. They claim in their book that it should have been a black and white deck and that they colored it, but that is not what I have heard elsewhere. I think it was on collecttarot.com I heard that it would have been printed in black and white and then hand colored. There's the Page of Swords. You can see that while they use the same general color palette, it's very differently colored. This is that typical Lo Scarabeo stock. It does include keywords down the side in multiple languages. It's just not nearly as pretty a deck as the one from Il Meneghello. But it does exist if you want to, this one cost about, I think it cost me about $45. This one's about $20 if you want a cheaper version of the same deck. And it does come with a little white book, which did give me a little bit more information about the artist who created this deck. But I am going to definitely do some more research on this deck. I want to learn more about this deck because I think it's just beautiful. Some other decks that'll probably make it into my rotation of March of the Pips. This is the Visconti Sforza. This is from the Golden Tarot, or I think it was called Golden Tarot kit. I got it used secondhand without the box, so I don't quite remember. But this is an inexpensive one that's a lovely size, and it's just beautiful. It's a beautiful deck. I also have the Carrie Yale Visconti Tarot. That one is so big, I probably will not use it for this challenge. I'd probably use this one instead. And I did edge the sides in gold. I may also rotate in the Golden Tarot by Liz Dean, which you have all seen if you've seen any of Kelly's videos, and the Oceanic Tarot. This is also a pip deck. The main reason I bought this deck was for the backs. I think the backs are absolutely exquisite. And it was really, really inexpensive. But it also has, it's got pips, but at the same time it also has keywords. So I might pull this one into the rotation. Another Marseille deck that I might use, it's a nice small one, it'll travel well, might go with me to Florida, is the Fournier Tarot de Marseille. They took the Tarot de Marseille and they colored it differently for modern tastes. And it's lovely. It's really pretty. It's small, but it's really slippery, and the backs are kind of icky. But this one might make a good travel deck as well. Very slippery deck. I think it's technically out of print, but I think I didn't pay any more than maybe $15 for it, so you can still find it. Another pip deck that I might try to use during this challenge is the Shakespeare Oracle, which is really a tarot deck. I believe I showed this before. It's really pretty, and the majors are really lovely, and they all associate with something about Shakespeare. The pips are pips. They do include a quote. This deck will definitely make it into my rotation for March of the Pips. This is a French tarot deck that I bought a little while back just because I was fascinated. It's got a couple of extra cards. It tells you in French how to play the game of tarot. This card is the points, how you count up the points for tarot, and this is just a art, quote-unquote art card. But you can see this is a true playing card deck for tarot. 6 of the Knight of Clubs, 3 of Hearts. This is the Valet, the Page of Clubs. This is the Queen of Spades. So it looks a lot like playing cards. The trumps are fascinating in this deck too. I want to try to read with them. I just haven't gotten my nerve up to try to read with them, because when you get to the trumps, that's the Fool. Okay, that's the 8. It's the 8 of trumps. It's not strength, it's not justice, it's the 8 of trumps. And you have 2 different scenes on it depending on which way you're looking up. If I'm looking at it this way, you see a nice happy family scene, a family in the countryside. If I turn it over this way, we have a different type of scene where it's a drawing room scene after dinner. There's a woman playing music. It's a family scene as well, probably, but a different kind of more upper class family scene and maybe a more middle class family scene. You'll have that here. You'll see that in a lot of the trumps as well. So here on the 6 of trumps, we've got some laborers working in the field, and the other way around, we've got 2 women just, having tea and chatting. Here we've got, now this is the 2 of trumps, we've got girls playing their games this way, and boys playing their games this way. The 13, we've got 2 different kinds of parties. We've got a more upper class tea room. It reminds me of, I've read a lot of Jane Austen. Reminds me a little bit of the Pump Room in Bath. And then this way, you've got more of a middle class sort of get together where a bunch of women are talking and gossiping and they've got their children and that sort of thing. The 4 of trumps, 2 children and a mom sitting outside their house. And this one, we've got 2 gentlemen sitting at a table, maybe conducting business, who knows. This one, 12 of trumps, you've got 2 different kinds of dances. Here you have your country dance, and here you've got your more elegant ballroom dance. It's just a really, really cool deck. And because it's playing cards, true playing cards, it shuffles beautifully. So I am definitely going to use this cool French tarot deck for the March of the Pips challenge. It has got gilded edges. I got it used off of eBay. I think I paid $20 or $25 for it. If you're in Europe, you can probably get these at a store. But I do love them, and I'm going to give them a shot for March of the Pips. So that's my March of the Pips update, and I hope you all have a great, great day.